Welcome back to another explainer. So up until now, we've spent a ton of time obsessing over the purely visual side of design, right? We've mastered lines, we've decoded colors, we've probably spent way too many hours agonizing over the precise symmetry of a logo. But today we're going on a trip past those visual boundaries straight into the sensory world. We are literally leaping off the screen and moving beyond just what the eyes can see. We're talking about the icy shock of a cold metal door handle, the gritty reality of unpolished stone, and that undeniable, cozy warmth of natural wood. So let me ask you this right off the bat. What connects design directly to touch? Seriously, think about it for a second. We've absolutely nailed what design looks like. We render these hyper-realistic shapes, we dream up stunning color palettes, but to truly master human-centric design, we've got to explore what our creations actually feel like in the hands of the user. We live in this incredibly tactile physical world, yet we so often design just for the eyes. That missing link, that grounded physical connection between an object and a human being, well, that's texture. Okay, let's quickly check our roadmap for today. We're exploring how texture functions as a tangible, emotional, and cultural tool. We'll cover the missing sensory dimension, actual versus visual texture, how it plays out across different design disciplines, the emotion it brings, its deep roots in Indian craftsmanship, and finally, a little exercise to experience your surroundings. Section 1. The missing sensory dimension. Going way beyond visual shapes and colors. So, texture at its core is just the surface quality of an object. It's how something physically feels in your hand, or, really importantly, how it appears to feel visually to your eye. Put simply, it's the difference between looking at a gorgeous high-res photo of a cactus and, accidentally brushing your bare hand against a real one. Ouch. It's the core ingredient that injects richness, realism, and a deep sensory experience into literally any design. It completely transforms a flat, sterile surface into something dynamic that practically begs you to reach out and interact with it. Rough, smooth, soft, hard, glossy, matte, woven, grainy. Even just hearing those words triggers an immediate physical reaction, doesn't it? Picture the rough, totally unforgiving bark of an old oak tree, and compare that to the glossy, frictionless screen of your phone. These surface qualities let users experience design way beyond just recognizing a shape or a color. They add incredible character. When you design with texture, you aren't just designing for the eyeballs. You are actively designing for the skin, the fingertips, and the whole human nervous system. Moving right along to Section 2. Actual versus visual texture. The physical touch versus the digital illusion. Now, the really crucial thing here is the contrast between the physical world and the digital or 2D world. First up, we've got actual texture. This is the real deal, the physical touch. It's the undeniable softness of pure cotton, the raw bite of actual jute, the cool, heavy smoothness of polished marble, or the fibrous feel of handmade paper. It's what you literally feel when you run your hand over an object. Then, on the flip side, we have visual texture. This is basically a very clever illusion on a totally flat surface. Think of wood grain printed onto a cheap laminate table, or those digital noise and grain effects graphic designers love to use to make a pristine, sterile digital illustration feel nostalgic, human, and like it was painted on an actual canvas. It gives you the illusion of depth without the physical reality. Which brings us to Section 3. Texture across design disciplines. Solving problems in 6 different fields. Let's look at how 6 totally different fields rely on the exact same sensory principle, especially when we look at our own everyday Indian context. In fashion, the natural breathability of hand-spun khadi dictates comfort and how a garment moves. In interior design, mixing textures like cooling terracotta floors with those intricately carved wooden jolly screens completely dictates the thermal and spatial vibe of a room. Over in graphic design, artists use visual textures that mimic handmade block prints to stop digital posters from looking completely flat and lifeless.
In UI/UX design, which, let's face it, we interact with on flat glass all day long, we rely heavily on haptic feedback. You know that satisfying little vibration texture you feel when a UPI payment goes through? Exactly. In textile design, the actual weave structures form the fabric's entire identity. And finally, in product design, texture dictates grip and ergonomics, much like the heavy, satisfying grip of a traditional hammered brass utensil.
Section 4. The emotion of texture. How different surfaces actually make us feel. It's wild to think about, but a rough stone wall gives you a totally different internal feeling than a glossy glass skyscraper, right? Textures map perfectly to human emotion. Soft textures naturally feel comforting and safe. Rough textures instantly communicate something raw, earthy, and natural, or maybe just that you really need to sand your furniture better. Glassy textures immediately register in our brains as modern, slick, and polished. And matte textures? Man, designers brilliantly use matte finishes to scream premium, subtle sophistication without uttering a single word. Think about the last time you bought a really high-end smartphone. The box probably had this smooth, heavy matte finish. It literally feels expensive before you even open it. That is a highly intentional emotional trigger. Section 5. Texture and Indian craftsmanship. Storytelling through local materials. India truly offers some of the most profound, historically rich examples of texture in everyday life. Just think about the intricate, delightfully bumpy weave of handloom fabrics. They just feel so incredibly alive compared to slick, machine-made polyester, don't they? Or consider the cold, deeply carved stone surfaces of local temples, spaces that have literally been worn perfectly smooth by centuries and centuries of human touch. Contrast the feeling of drinking your morning chai from a totally uniform, mass-produced ceramic mug versus the raw, earthy, porous touch of a handmade terracotta kalhad. It's night and day. From the raised threads of heavily embroidered textiles to the natural, imperfect grain of traditional wooden furniture, or the sturdy flexibility of cane and bamboo crafts, Indian design traditions are inherently rooted in material texture. Here, texture isn't just about usability. It's a storyteller. It tells the deep generational story of the material itself and the hands of the incredibly skilled artisan who crafted it.
Section 6. Experience your surroundings. A quick observation exercise.
Before we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to actively test this out in your own environment. Step 1, just look around wherever you're sitting or standing right now. Step 2, reach out and deliberately touch a nearby surface. It could be your wooden desk, the woven fabric of your chair, or even the rubberized case on your phone. Step 3, ask yourself, how does this physically feel to my fingertips, and what specific emotion does that feeling create in my mind? And step 4, consider exactly why the designer chose that specific texture to manipulate your experience. Was it purely functional, maybe to give you a better grip, or was it psychological, to make the item feel more expensive, or to make you feel comfortable? Good designers do not only see surfaces, they experience them. As you go about your day, I really hope you start looking far beyond just the colors and the shapes of your space. So I'll leave you with this. What is the design of your room secretly whispering to your fingertips right now? Thanks for joining me on this sensory journey for today's explainer, and keep exploring.